And let's go to Presley in North Carolina. Presley, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Thanks for calling.
No problem. Just wanted to talk about an experience I had with my state employees credit union about a year and a half ago, trying to withdraw some funds. And basically the amount was too much for them to give me at the time. And they were telling me to give them heads up notice like a week to order that amount of money, basically so they could have it available for me out of my account.
Now, you don't need to give exact figures here, but would you expect that type of withdrawal would be unable to be matched?
It shouldn't have been a problem. No.
Okay.
And I asked the manager, I said, well, what do you expect is going to happen if 20 people come in here and demand this? What are you going to do? And he just kind of looked at me blankly.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the whole FTX scandal is no doubt a scandal. And by the way, there's some breaking news there. FTX is sending letters to politicians who receive donations from FTX to return the money they received. And of course, they probably have already spent it. Now, we have that list. Unusual Whales has published that list, and you can see here it's the vast majority of it going to Democrats. It's 90% of the FTX stolen money went to Democrats. About 10% went to Republicans. And so they're demanding that money back. And here's the thing, though. There's no doubt that FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried was a giant scandal. It was a scandal from the very beginning. Bankman-Fried and Ellison were set up as the fall guy and the fall girl. They're probably not too bright of people. I'm not trying to be mean. They probably have learning disabilities or something else. They were set up as the fall guys. The whole thing was a money laundering operation. They got caught because people in crypto actually care about the integrity of financial institutions and actually care that people can have their money protected. So they basically called out the FTX scandal. They made a bet that if you did a run on FTX, that the coffers would be empty. And they guessed right. And now the whole thing collapsed, even though Bankman-Fried is nestled safely in his parents' mansion in California, and no criminals have been arrested. Now, here's why your story plays right into this. The exact same phenomenon that happened at FTX with the run on FTX, and they're saying, oh, we don't have your money, they never had it. The exact same thing would happen probably at 90% of banks tomorrow. And so, you know, folks, I don't really get into this, but I'm just going to tell you, I've made financial decisions in this week that I never thought I'd make again. And I'm leaning on actually getting all my money out of the bank. And this is something I would have never recommended or never thought I would do before, but I'm now considering getting all my money out of the bank for this exact reason, Presley.
Totally agree with you. And I'm glad this happened to me a year and a half ago, and I was able to see the writing on the wall, because bail-ins are definitely going to happen. Because if they didn't have my money a year and a half ago, it's going to be horrible tomorrow.
They don't have it. And so it's almost in a way they're anticipating this. And this is going to be how they draw us into the digital currency trap, because it's almost inevitable. And that's why it's like a dangerous thing. It's like, do we press the bank run now? And do we show the corruption of the central banks? Do we show the corruption of the Federal Reserve? But understanding that could collapse the entire country economically, it's like, do we really want to press that button? I mean, this is a very delicate balancing act here.
I totally agree with you, but we're kind of in a lesser of two evil situation at this point, and we might have to expose the corruption.
Well, and I think people are just going to have to make their own decisions. And like I said, I mean, I've got myself prepped and ready to go for the worst, but now it's like I'm looking at a situation where it's like, okay, if the worst happens tomorrow, or if the worst happens a month from today, what do I want to do, or what am I going to wish I had done, or what do I need to do? Because to me, I'm just looking at this, man. We've got psychotic killers running our country. I mean, let's call it what it is. We have psychotic, mad scientists, maniacal villains running our country, and the world knows it. And if we, the American people, aren't going to handle it, somebody else is.
Totally. And also, what's your take on all the Google layoffs?